Hello everyone. I am here to state as to why we must stay to the status quo, as that means fossil fuels as our main source of energy. The affirmative case has claims that we need a better health environment, but also they have failed to identify that solar actually causes pollution as well. The affirmative also claims that solar panels and solar energy will be better for the economy, but they failed to identify that fossil fuels actually employs almost 3 million people. So that will cause 3 million people to be unemployed. The affirmative claims that technology is helping solar, but also fails to realize that fossil fuels is still more developed than solar. They claim that more people are employed by solar, but still they do not realize that fossil fuels still employs 3 million. Claims that solar watts are going down, but they also stated in the first affirmative case that solar costs as an average of $16,000 to install. And they even admit that the world revolves around fossil fuels. And so they have failed also to claim any real significance, inherency, solvency, workability, and disadvantages. They talked about how one of the advantages of, the inherency of solar is that it employs more than fossil fuels, and they only talked about the coal industry. They failed to identify the oil and the gas extraction, the oil and gas support, the coal mining support, the oil and gas pipeline construction, the petroleum, oil products manufacturing, the petroleum supply, and even gas stations. They have failed to identify any of the amounts of jobs that those actually account for. So I would like to identify the significance of, as to why, the negative significance of solar energy. From the article, the fossil fuel industry may not help the planet, but it employs millions, by Martin Tiller, July 09, 2014. This is a positive significance according to the fossil fuels. We should remember that over 2 million people and their families are directly dependent on those industries for their livelihood and the level of employment that cannot be ignored. Another significant is the negative significance towards solar energy is that the cost. They have identified that it costs $16,000 to just install, and they fail to realize that actually places like San Francisco are going through a housing crisis, and that will be even more detrimental to the housing crisis because it will cost more on the people that are trying to buy houses and keep their houses, and so it's only going to cause a negative significance towards those type of people. The inherency of part of the fossil fuels is that Americans accept fossil fuels. As they already said, our world revolves around it. And also they claim that United States is the second biggest contributor to greenhouse gas emissions. But that doesn't mean it's just because of fossil fuels. They fail to realize because of our agricultural reasonings, because cows actually produce more greenhouse gas emissions into the atmosphere rather than fossil fuels. So if you really want to attack greenhouse gases, you should look at a different problem because it's not fossil fuels. And the disadvantages and the major disadvantage of solar power is that it is weather dependent. Because solar panels, according to the greenmatch.com, what are the advantages and disadvantages of solar energy? Solar panels are dependent on sunlight and efficiently gathered solar energy. So that means in places colder, like in places of like the East Coast will be affected because they do not have as much sunlight as the West Coast does. And also they fail to realize that at night we can't store energy. So that makes us really dependent on the sun, but we can't be dependent on weather. We have to take dependence further than that. We have to go to fossil fuels because it is far more developed than solar panels will be anytime in the near future. Also, a part of solvency, quote from the Green Match website article, "What are the advantages and disadvantages of solar energy? Transportation and installation of the emissions of greenhouse gases. There are also some toxic materials and hazardous products used during the manufacturing process of solar photovoltaic trees." So they say that the fossil fuels cause so much of the pollution, but they fail to recognize that solar panels actually cause pollution just as well. So instead of taking the problem of fossil fuels, they're going to create another one when fossil fuels are already there and they want to create more pollution. From the article of Advantages of Fossil Fuels, the Conserve Energy Future, on the 21st of May 2017, because fossil fuels are safe and stable, they can be transported easily and efficiently over long distances. They can be transported on large trucks and pumped through large pipes below and above ground. We all know that transportation methods are not costly. So that shows how safe fossil fuels have become and how developed they are opposed to solar panels and solar power. So I encourage you to vote negative because the affirmative has failed to show any significance, inherency, solvency, workability, and disadvantages. Their claims are actually their claims about technology helping solar panels, and their claims about people are employed by solar panels, and the claim that solar watts are going down, and the claim that we need to have a healthier environment, better economy, and the U.S. needs to lower their gas emissions have all been proven wrong. Oh shit.